But right now, I am very pleased to be joined by the mayor of Kenner, Ben Zahn. How you doing, Mayor?
Very good. How you doing, Walt?
I'm doing better than I deserve. A difficult day because the Saints won, but they barely eked it out. And if it weren't for the field goals and the extra points, they would have lost.
Yeah.
To the Browns.
The Browns kicker won for the Saints.
Right. I don't think the Saints won so much as the Browns lost.
Exactly.
And,
exactly.
But I mean,
it's a win though.
It was a good show, a classy show by Thomas Morstead and Will Lutz after the game to console him. But we appreciate you being here in Kenner, and obviously a rough couple of weeks for you. And just to get it out there so everybody understands, on a personal level, I agreed with you about the Nike ban, and I was outraged by Nike glorifying Colin Kaepernick. The one thing that I did say was I didn't think that you as mayor should have gotten involved.
Sure.
And certainly we have a lot of issues in the city of Kenner, and issues with every city, not just in Kenner. But let's try to focus on that. But let's kind of put this to bed and see about how we can move forward. So what are the next steps? How can we heal and come together and get past this?
And we've already started on that path. Had numerous conversations with Councilman Carroll. I know Councilman Carroll was on the show last week.
Right.
Saw him again yesterday, talked with him a little bit yesterday about it. We're moving ahead. I want the people of Canada to know that there's no change in this administration. There's no change in this council or Councilman Carroll's relationship with me or my relationship with Councilman Carroll. That also goes for Councilman Mark Spears. There's a position. There's always two sides of a story. They were on one side of the position. I was on the other side. We've met, spoken with Councilman Mark Spears, also our parish councilman. We are moving ahead. We have a lot of work to do here in the city of Kenner. We will continue to do that work in the city of Kenner. We have economic development at the lakefront. Rest assured, we are still moving ahead with Atlantis Corporation also. Numerous discussions with them last week. We are still moving ahead, and this is no secret, with negotiations that we have at different sites of consolidating City Hall and city government under one roof. Whether that would be at the Esplanade site, whether that would be at the Pavilion Shopping Center site, or the Chateau Cafe area across the street. I think it's called Kenner Marketplace, something like that. We are still in negotiations with all those people, with all those different groups. City Hall is functioning today. I just left an executive staff meeting to come here. Had I not had this opportunity to come on the radio, I'd still be in the executive staff meeting dealing with numerous issues we had throughout the city. One's recreation, excluding anything that happened last week. Recreation, doing what we have to do there. Reaching out to our schools, reaching out to everyone who is calling us right now, who's been calling us even before, I guess, last Saturday night when everything broke loose. That's behind us. We're moving forward. I want the people of Kenner to know, people of Justin Parish, it's business as usual this morning in Kenner.
I want to talk about moving City Hall in just a minute, but
Okay.
But one thing I do have to point out, I mean, you got heat from both sides of the Nike affair. People that were opposed to you banning Nike, and then when you kind of rescinded the ban, some folks were giving you grief. Unlike you, I got grief from everybody because, like I said, I was against the Nike. I was against Nike. And then I didn't support you because,
Right.
Like I said, on a personal level, I agreed with you.
Right.
But again, we wrap that up. Let's move past, and let's talk about moving City Hall, because I know City Hall's in a couple different buildings now, and you have offices in other places as well across the city. Consolidating City Hall, though, in a retail area like the Esplanade. How does that make sense? Because we'll be taking out more sales tax and more property tax away from the city.
Well, during the last mayor's campaign, I've had 3 mayor campaigns within 1 year. During the last mayor's campaign, that became an issue because we were there for a year, and they were like, some people were like, why haven't these retail areas moved forward? Mm-hmm. I said this then. I would always come back and I'd say, where do you shop? And most people say online. Not everybody, but most people say that. So let's look at the bigger picture. I don't think you'll ever see the Esplanade Mall, and this is not the first time I've said this, I don't think you'll ever see the Esplanade Mall come back as what we've known it from the 80s and the 90s and before 2005. After 2005, obviously a lot of things changed for everyone. Retail in Kenner changed for some reason. I think we have to look at the mall, and I'm speaking to the new owners, not speaking for them, but in speaking with them. Cohan Realty, Mike Cohan. He sees that it has to be more of a Perkins Road type. It may never be Perkins Road. I'd like it to be, but it may never be that, but it needs to have office space. It needs to have eateries. It needs to have coffee shops. It needs to have living, whether it's condos, upscale apartments. It needs to have something that draws, like a church that's going there. It needs to have different things that happen. If you put government, and we are an anchor, I don't care what people say, I'm not saying you, but I don't care what people say, we would be an anchor. Because when you put that anchor there, Walt, City Hall, and let's just say we went to Esplanade Mall. I am not saying we are, but let's just say we did. We become the anchor. 400 to 450, maybe 500, depending what all the departments that move, go in and out of that place every day. Now that's going to change the aesthetics, the composition, and what happens at that mall, because us going there makes it look better. Us going there brings in traffic flow. When you come to see me, or a consultant comes to see me, a vendor, a potential vendor, a current vendor, they're going to probably say, well, let's go get something to eat at Copeland's. Well, let's go get something to eat at a new place that we don't have right now. And I'm just thinking off the top of my head, like the new one at Saltgrass that opened up. And I'm not promoting Saltgrass, but I'm just saying something different that we don't have on Veterans, a Panera Bread that we don't have. There may be an interest for those eateries, those establishments to come to Esplanade Mall, the Pavilion Shopping Center, because we're there. There might be a need for a grocery across the street, because when those people are getting off as employees, they might have to go to a grocery. I think you're going to start making that town center and incorporating government. And if you look at some other places throughout the country, I don't have them off the top of my head, but there are others that have done something similar to this to regenerate, bring more activity to these malls that are different. The mall is not going to change with retail only. I stick behind that, and I've stuck behind that for a couple of years now.
Right. Everyone has talked about it becoming mixed use with apartments or condos or something to put people there. I just question putting City Hall there and taking out sales tax possibility.
I agree with you, but it's not working the way we're doing it or the way they're doing it. So look, it takes a lot to come on the radio and talk about that, because not everybody's happy about it. Not everybody always is happy about things like this, or they have questions, and I welcome the questions. But we've got to make a change, and that mall might be the same way in 4 years. Councilman George Brannigan has jumped into this thing. He has been very supportive on working with me, working with the administration, working with his colleagues. I got to say, the rest of the council has been very supportive on the need to move City Hall to help these malls, and also for what I have to do every day, deal with at least 12 locations of City Hall directors displaced. And there's no other way to say it. Buildings that are in deterioration. There are a lot of things that go on internally besides me wanting to regenerate an economy that's not there right now in that area. There's an economy in Kenner, but in that area, in that corridor, for some reason, there's a problem right there in that corridor.
We're going to take a quick break, and we are broadcasting live from the original Italian Pie of Kenner, 3600 Williams Boulevard, just a little bit north of West Esplanade. Stop by and see us. When we come back, we're going to talk more about the possible move of City Hall and the costs involved, as well as Lake Town and other things that are happening in the city of Kenner. Good things that are happening in the city of Kenner. When the Walt Benetti radio program continues on WGSO 990 AM, WGSO.com, and the TuneIn radio app. Hi, this is Walt Benetti from